Hi, my name is Noah.
Hi, my name is Nani.
Hi, my name is Cassidy, and welcome to the Dope Student Podcast.
Welcome to the Dope Student Podcast. Today we're excited to have Michael Spain, the Director of Design Education at Center of Design Philadelphia and the architect behind Lincoln High School. Join us. Michael brings a wealth of experience and passion for inspiring the program to leading impactful design projects. Michael's journey highlights the power of exposure, opportunity, and mentorship. If you're curious about how architecture shapes our world and how we can get more students interested in this exciting field, this is the episode for you. Can you start by telling us about yourself and what led you to pursue architecture as a career?
Okay, well, thank you for having me. First of all, I'm really excited to be here at the Dope Student Podcast. You guys are doing a great job, and I'm glad you have me. Well, I'm a native Philadelphian, born and raised in Philadelphia, Southwest and West Philly. And I first got interested in architecture through my brother, who was an artist. And I used to follow him around all the time, asking him to draw things for me. And as he got older and, wanted to actually do things, with his friends and hang out, I remember asking him one day if he can draw something else for me. And he said, do it yourself. And at that point, I started to practice drawing, and I got good at it. I took some classes, and was able to see that I could communicate graphically through that way. And the second part was Mr. Mike Brady of the Brady Bunch, who I saw on TV all the time doing architectural work, models, and drawings. Those two things got me interested, and then my next path, and I'm sure we'll probably get into it, was actually see more about it and see what I can do with that.
You've mentioned that shows like the Brady Bunch and your creative brother influenced you. How did those early inspirations shape your path?
Well, one, when I talk about exposure, it really is important that, students, as soon as they can, possibly as they can, be able to see what they can do and what some of the options are. So with that, my brother being an artist and also me then taking that on was the first step. And, in my community at the time and also in school, I had never seen an architect, particularly an architect of color. Actually being able to see that as a possible profession through this TV medium, but then leading on to high school to actually do some of the work was really important. I mean, otherwise, I'm not sure if I would have gotten the exposure, if I would have been able to explore that possibility and then see what the next steps were.
What was it like attending Dobbins High School architectural program, and how did it prepare you for college and beyond?
Well, first of all, I had a really great teacher. His name was Joseph Kuo. And Mr. Kuo demanded a lot from his students, much like your teacher, Mr. Jarrett here, but with a lot of care and a lot of encouragement. So for 3 years, I was able to do drafting and design under his tutelage. And between my junior and senior year, with the assistance of Mr. Kuo, I got accepted to a summer program at Cornell University, which allowed me to kind of like exercise some of the skills that I had developed by being in the class. It was a very intense class. We did drafting, designing. We had to do lettering sheets. And as I said before, he really pushed his students. And I'm so grateful and thankful that he saw something in me to encourage me to pursue the possibility of being an architect as early as, the 10th, 11th grade.
You're passionate about providing students with exposure and opportunity. What specific strategies do you think schools should adopt to inspire more students to consider architecture?
So, unfortunately, we don't see enough of, I think, the creative professions expressed or shown in our public schools. And this is a thing that we hope our program at Design Philadelphia actually does with and for the school district. We are partners with the school district to do this. And I think it's important to look at other ways of learning. And architecture and the many other design professions like textile design, graphic design, landscape architecture, I think give students a chance to explore how they can use hands-on creative design process thinking to learn. how they might be able to see their creative side. I really think that all of us have like this design gene, but it just needs to be served, and us being the Design Philadelphia Design Education Program act as a catalyst to kind of like see what the possibilities are in each of the students by going through some of these creative exercises.
How does integrating hands-on creative learning in schools help students succeed, especially in fields like architecture?
Well, as I mentioned, I think actually going through a different way of learning, the creative process, and actually seeing what the design process does for you. For instance, that process is about, one, identifying a problem. So having a student really understand what it is they're getting ready to do and the problem that they're trying to solve. Going through steps, and also at times testing those steps because they don't always work. Sometimes you have to rework them. Going through that process and kind of like seeing how it works and how it changes and how you're addressing this problem, then coming up with a solution by actually using your hands, using your creative mind, another way of learning, has benefited, I think, the students in ways not just about design, but also improving their skills of social and emotional and learning their development skills through this process, which we really see happening in most of the classes and the workshops that we do work with.
What do you enjoy most about the design process, and why is collaboration such a key part of it?
Collaboration is really key because what we are trained to do, or what we should do, is listen and be able to be, understanding of who we're designing for and why we're designing it. And you can't do that without having a collaborative process. One, you and the people that you're working for, and some of the people that you're working with to get it done. So going through that design process of, one, hearing, and then really using your imagination to present something that maybe that client couldn't see, to present it through your eyes and through your skills, and then taking it through all of these other iterations to see, okay, this is it. This is what they envision. This is how I'm delineating their dreams and having them see what the possibilities are.
What are the most important skills beyond graphic communication that students need to develop to succeed in architecture?
On top of, again, drawing and being able to show what it is you're imagining, and a lot of it now is technical and digital, as I mentioned before, is being able to listen, being able to collaborate and talk with the people that you're working with. If you're not keen about what it is you're designing with and for, most likely the design is not going to be successful because you're going to miss the mark. So besides those things that, are technical and drawing, it's really being a person who listens, a person who actually feels what they're talking about and understands what their challenges are as a client, as a user, as a person in the built environment.
Can you share some key milestones in your career journey from your first exposure to architecture to becoming the director of design education?
Yeah, sure. So I will mention again first my brother and, the influence of seeing Mike Brady on the Brady Bunch. But after that, a key milestone was coming into contact with my high school teacher in the program at Dobbins that really gave me more exposure and kind of prepared me to move forward in the profession. That was a pivotal point. And then being able to go to Cornell University to study architecture, which is one of the better schools in the nation, and being prepared to do that and going through that rigorous program with the support and help of many people there, being involved in activities on campus and outside, and then leading to actually being a part of the profession. Early on, I had some really good mentors. And I think that's important to find those people as soon as you can that will assist you in your development, both professionally and personally as well. And I was pretty lucky early on to find that. As far as my teaching part goes, there was a woman named Rolene Copeland who actually took me under her wing, in the program that I'm running now, which she ran many years ago, gave me the confidence, that I could and would teach at a higher level. Those things leading to then other opportunities in the profession and meeting other people that became mentors and colleagues along the way. And I know we'll talk about this a little bit, but in the office mentors, my first project that I'm really, really proud of that I can say I put a stamp on was Abraham Lincoln High School. And this is where I learned a lot about building, the profession, all the things that it takes to be an architect. And that gave me more opportunities to do more of the stuff that I have done and what I'm doing now as an educator, both at Thomas Jefferson University, at Design Philadelphia, and meeting with you students today.
What challenges did you face as you transitioned from a student to a professional architect, and how did you overcome them?
The main challenges were just, I think, learning the craft and understanding what it takes to get a building done. From the design part, meeting clients and understanding what they need and going through the design process and then really putting the building together, understanding how it goes together, how it stands up, how people move through it, all the things that you have to work on. And the collaborative part is you're not just one person working on one project. There are a number of people that you collaborate inside the office and outside of the office. So those are really key things in terms of development and learning to be a better architect, and also just learning how to work through the process, really key things in terms of my development in the profession.
What advice would you give to students who are unsure if they have the creative skills or confidence to pursue architecture?
So I get a lot of people that always say, well, I wanted to, but I wasn't good at math, or I wasn't able to draw. I don't draw well. I think if you have that creative kind of spark, you just need to try it and do it. You need to go through that process. Don't be afraid to maybe take the opportunity to see what if. You're enough to be able to do that. And you'll find that you can develop these skills. Like, again, I didn't first know how to draw, but I started doing it. And then you find people that can teach you things. So when I came into the profession, I didn't know much about building and how the building was put together. I had some training in college, but this was now real life stuff. So you have to just really be, the key word I think is involved. And the second part of that is to have the opportunity, again, find people and find places that will give you the opportunity to exercise some of the skills that you've learned and developed. And I think with that, you'll find that you can do it and that you are enough.
You've worked with many students over the years. Is there a standout moment when you saw a student's passion for design come alive?
There's so many. I think what our program does and what design education does, looking at learning in a different way, is really have students realize that they can do this thing. So when you present them a problem that they feel is insurmountable and you go through the steps to show them that they can solve it, and they can solve it with their ideas and their creativity, it really inspires me and is such a spark because the light goes off. Many students who may start off thinking, I can't do this, or they don't speak up a lot, or they're not really as involved, at the end of this process or at the end of our programs, they're the ones that are raising their hands. They're the ones that are speaking up. They're the ones that are really talking about their ideas. That, to me, seeing that over and over again is the best thing about the work that I do.
Why do you think empathy and understanding are just as important as technical skills in designing meaningful spaces?
Yeah, empathy is so critical. As I mentioned before, if you don't understand or you don't have some insight, or if you're not being very conscious about some of the challenges that your client or your users have, and being able to put that into your thinking as you're designing, your designs or your solutions aren't really authentic, or they don't come through as being successful. So it really takes, I think, a very insightful person, a very caring person to take the time to understand why they're doing what they're doing, what impact it may have in terms of what they're doing, and how they can assist and aid in bringing a solution for the people that they're designing for. That might be even more important than some of the ideas and creativeness that you bring to it as an architect and designer. It's just really from the beginning understanding what's important to the people that you're designing with and that you're designing for.
How can real-world experiences like shadowing or internships help students discover their strengths and interests in architecture?
The best thing I think about having real-world experiences is really this is where you get a hands-on way of testing. Do you really enjoy it? Why do you enjoy it? What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? I think having all of those elements presented to you can allow you to make decisions at that point. Is this something that really I find a passion for? And no matter what the challenges I'm going to go through. Where are my weaknesses and how might I improve upon them? And if I find my strengths, do I celebrate those so that I might have more opportunities to get stronger at that? So being able to kind of like be in the mix, as you say, and being able to test what it is you like and what you do and see how well you can do and what things you may need to learn, I think is critical and key. And not just in architecture, but I know the things that you guys do here at this great program give you an opportunity to see what you can do and what you enjoy and what you like. And at that point, you can start to create your path and maybe at some point realize that as a profession.
We heard you're an avid comic book collector with over 5,400 comics. How has this passion influenced your creativity or perspective as a designer?
Wow, I never got that question presented to me in that way. So, yes, I have a lot of comic books, and I started collecting comic books back in 7th and 8th grade. And part of that was because I really enjoyed the art, right? I wanted to draw my superheroes and kind of see that, which led me to some of the creative things that I'm doing now. But it also gave me an idea of fantasy and creativity, seeing how superheroes have all these powers and what they do with it and how it actually manifests into something. And I just never got away from that because of the art and maybe a little bit of escapism to actually see how this other world of mythology and fantasy and, superhero things and great stories too. I was able to read better and maybe in some cases write a little bit more creatively by doing this. So, and even till this day, I still pick up a few and read and buy just to keep me entertained when I'm not necessarily doing my profession and work.
What do you hope young listeners take away from this conversation about architect, creativity, and the potential to make an impact?
So I would say architecture only through my lens, but something that I share with all students is one, try as much as you can to find your passion. And this is what I call these 3 points: imagine, create, and realize. So imagine what it is that you want to do. What drives you? What's your passion? What do you really enjoy? What do you wake up saying, I want to do this today, or I want to learn this today? So imagine it first, and then take the steps to create it. Don't just say, I want to do it. Find out more about that. Like, what opportunities do you have to learn more about it, to do it? Like I said before, to have the hands-on opportunities to do it. So start to create what you imagine by finding out more about it and actually being part of it. Volunteer to do something that's associated with what you're doing. And I think if you do those things, you find great mentors, you're given the opportunity. If you imagine, create it, I believe at some point you will realize it because you'll have all the tools that you need to take it to the next level. And it's not just in architecture, although I've done that and seen that through my lens by imagining it as a 7th and 8th grader with my brother and Mike Brady. creating it through my teacher, Mr. Quo, and going to college, and then finally realizing it in the profession because of those things that I've done. And I think every passion, every career, every design profession, every plumber, every chef, if you start with imagining what you can do, you can create it and realize it to a certain point.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions that we have for today. Is there any social media that you want to shout out?
Yes. So I want to shout out what we're doing now at Design Philadelphia, and you can reach us at designphiladelphia.org. We are the Center for Design, and we really encourage all designers to use us as an outlet to reach the public, to make sure that design is understood as being a very important part of our culture and our way of life, and what we do there. You can find me at MSD_40 on Instagram and, of course, LinkedIn. But really, most of the energy, I would love to go to our organization at Design Philadelphia and the great work we do in the design education program and the design environment and culture as well.
Thank you for watching another episode of the Dope Student Podcast. Bye.